Real life was busy, which meant not much crafting until halfway through the month. Let's take a look at what I managed. I drove to Sydney with my son to move him back into uni, and because he doesn't take his car with him, he drove most of the way to get the last of his driving. He enjoys driving, and he's a bit sad to be leaving his car behind. The upside of that was I got to do lots of knitting. I was working on a cowl knitted from hand spun yarn as part of my show entries, and yeah, all day in the car meant I got plenty of progress on that, which was really satisfying. And then once I had him settled in, I was home to get stuck straight back into the school year. And while the two little kids were doing their schoolwork, I started prepping for Lent and my studies that I planned on doing. And full disclosure, this was the morning of Ash Wednesday. I was printing this devotional, but I found this super cute series called Called to Create. I got that all printed up while we were doing our lessons, and it could just run in the background. Then once that was done and the kids were onto their independent work, I was able to get stuck in and start trimming them up into the little individual cards. They're super cute. They're like maybe 3 by 5 inches. And I'm going to turn them into a mini book, I think. So I'm working my way through those. I am a few days behind. I need to do some catch up this weekend. I'll be sure to share more about this project in April once I have it all finished and wrapped up. But I'm enjoying just taking 5 minutes each morning to work on these little cards and to, yeah, stretch myself creatively in such a small format. And back to the knitting, honestly, this knitted cowl was probably one of my big focuses for February, just to get it done for the show. This particular pattern, this is now my third run through it, and for a fancy-ish lacy type of pattern, it actually knits up really quite quickly. But yeah, for probably a solid week in the middle of February, if I was sitting, I was knitting to get this done. And I did. I got it done in time and it made it into the show. You can also see more of this project in my podcast episode that I shared last week, including audio from my podcast, The Ministry of Crafty Shenanigans. When I needed a break from the knitting, I pulled out my spinning wheel and I got busy spinning up some beautiful fibre that I've had sitting in my stash for probably a solid 12 months to make a skein of hand spun yarn, also for the show. It's a beautiful purple and green blend. I don't know that I'm 100% happy with the finished yarn. I was rushing it in parts, and you can see I've actually got my laptop there. I bought myself a DVD player and it was really fun to go old school instead of scrolling through a million streamers, to just grab a DVD off the shelf, pop it in, throw it on my laptop, and watch that while I was spinning. So that was just a nice way to pass a Saturday afternoon. And surprisingly, the yarn actually spun up a lot quicker than I expected. So obviously I'm getting on top of it and, yeah, starting to understand exactly how it works and developing that muscle memory, which is good. Makes the hobby more fun when it feels more natural and it's easier and quicker, and I'm not spending all day fighting against the machine. And then the last week of the month was all about show prep. So I baked a caramel slice. So I chopped it up into little pieces. I had to provide 4 pieces for my show entry. You can see there my beautiful blue band-aid where I'd burnt myself at soup kitchen the night before while I was cooking. Got those all cut up, found the neatest, squarest form, popped them on a plate for the show, and the rest may or may not have found their way into the smoko tin. And it's been very nice for my morning teas to be having a little piece of slice with a cup of tea. And once that was all packed up, I was busy creating my piles ready to take in. I ended up with 9 different entries plus photos. That was a satisfying tally. I was happy with that. And my daughter also entered this beautiful cake. And once we survived all of those runs in, I got busy doing some work prepping for some English paper piecing, which I'm planning on doing this month. So I bought a file on Etsy and downloaded it, and I wanted to turn it into a print and cut file for my Cricut to make it a bit easier and also more accurate than cutting it by hand. So I chucked it into Photoshop, took out the background, and then I filled each one as well with black color so that it would cut as a single shape rather than cut inside and outside the line, which was then super easy to upload into Design Space so I could get that prepped. And the Cricut's always a good job to have running while we're doing the school work of a morning as well, because I can just kind of set it up and it just runs and does its thing a couple of rooms away, and I don't need to babysit it. So that makes it easy to feel like I'm achieving something and making progress. And my projects aren't stagnating in busy weeks. I'm kind of stealing whatever little bits of time I can find to make little bits of progress, including when I'm on duty at the show. So we volunteered at the showgrounds for a day or two for the Scouts. So we just spent some time at the stall helping to promote our group and having some great conversations with folks. And so, of course, I had my knitting, still working away on these oddments socks. I'm still on sock 1, but I'm only just picking away at these because it's my grab and go project. When I need something quick and easy like this, and because I'm a terrible influence, Mr. 12 brought his knitting along as well, and so he was joining me. And you can see there he is a bit of a lefty, getting a handle on his knitting there. He kind of, works works with his left hand, and then he holds it almost like he's crocheting with the yarn in the other hand. His tension needs a bit of work. You can see there it's a little bit tight for him, but it's a work in progress. He's 12. He doesn't knit constantly, so he's doing something with his hands. And he's making a blanket for his giraffe. His stitches come out beautiful and neat, so we're going to call it a win at this stage. And that was February in the craft room. Thank you for joining me today. I'll be back next week with another video.